What's up, my pretties? It's the Lion Queen here. Now, welcome to episode 216 on Shadows and Pretties. So today I am going to be doing a review on this movie called Tom Sawyer. Now, I am talking about no, not the couple other adaptations such as The Adventures of Tom Sawyer from 1938. I'm not talking about the Tom and Huck movie that came out in 1995, although I do have plans into doing that. But today I am going to be talking about this animated musical movie from 2000, which I mean, it's like 22 years old, by MGM Family Entertainment called Tom Sawyer. Now, this is basically a furry movie from what I could see. Basically, it's basically an anthropomorphic furry characters, taking the roles of these characters such as Tom Sawyer, Huckleberry Finn, etc., etc. So, I mean, yeah, this movie has Betty White, that rest in peace, but who plays as Aunt Polly in this movie. But we also do get a couple other actors that were in this movie as well. So this is like a very old movie in the same time. Now, the character companions into the original characters, like, for example, Tom Sawyer is a tabby cat, Huckleberry Finn's the red fox, Rebecca Thatcher is the Persian cat, Judge Edward Thatcher is the Russian blue cat, Amy Lawrence is the cat, as well as Sydney or Sid Sawyer, Mr. Dobbins as the turkey. We also do have Hurtin' Joe, who happens to be the grizzly bear. We also have Mutt Potter, who happens to be a dog, Polly Sawyer, who happens to be a cat as well, and Mr. Robinson, who happens to be a dog as well. So, anyway, let's begin with this movie. Now, I do want to give a little spoiler that I'm going to be spoiling everything about this movie from 2000. So, if you've not seen this movie, I recommend you click off this video if you do not want me spoiling it, because this, I'm sure most people have seen this movie when they were younger, probably on VHS or something thing. So I'm sure most of you guys probably remember seeing this on VHS when you were a kid, or possibly on TV. So anyways, I think we should get started with that. So basically, the plot is about Tom Sawyer and his half-brother Sid are on their way to school when they see a Huckleberry Finn fishing. So Tom skips school to join Huck, but however, he changes his mind when he sees Becky Thatcher, who he tries to sneak into class, but Sid snitches on him to the teacher, Mr. Dobbins, which Tom is now made sit with the girls, to which he actually likes it, since he's able to sit next to Becky. So he sat beside Amy Lawrence, who is another friend who becomes, engaged, or in this case, Amy starts flirting with him while she has romantic feelings for him, but however, Tom is more into Becky more to even notice. So Tom's pet frog, Rebel, then disrupts the class, the frog, the pet frog, meaning that they're given an early dismissal. However, on the way home from school during the musical number, Hook, Line, and Sinker, Tom then pulls multiple times to try to steal a kiss from Becky Thatcher, but is thwarted each time by her father, Judge Thatcher. So the next day when Tom's about to go fishing with his friends, but Aunt Polly forces him to paint the house as punishment for what happened in school. So Tom, however, gets his friends to paint the house for him instead, so while everyone's painting, Becky stops in and Tom offers her to paint along with everyone else, but however, goes under one condition, that she needs to kiss him. So Tom prepares to kiss him, but he gets kissed by his frog instead as a prank, making everyone laugh at him. So later that night, Tom and Huck go treasure hunting when they find injuring Joe and his sidekick Mutt Potter uncovering a chest full of gold, and Deputy Bean, who is visiting his wife's graves, discovers Joe and Mutt, and as the boys watch from behind a tombstone, Joe brutally murders Bean, who tries to hit him with the shovel, but frames Mutt and captures the frog. So Tom knows that Joe can track him down through the frog, so he and Huck had made a pact to never tell anyone what they had seen. So, however, the next day, Becky accidentally spills the ink on the test results, Amy is now happy because she wants to cheat Becky. But, however, Tom takes the blame, for which he receives a brutal thrashing with the ruler by Mr. Dobbins. Yeah, this was taken back in the older times, back when teachers were able to smack, students with rulers and that when they're behaving badly. I mean, this was set in the olden times, so it does make sense. But, however, they don't do that anymore because I think parents have been saying, oh, my kid's been hit by this ruler by this teacher because of whatever he or she did. I mean, yeah, that's really messed up, but like I said, school was like that back in the day, and I'm glad school is not like that anymore, thank God, because, that would have been nightmarish for anyone to go through. Probably traumatizing, too. However, after school, Tom becomes, engaged or gets, romantically attached to Becky before, a musical number by Becky and Amy, which is One Dream, where the two individually expresses their shared love for Tom. He admits that he did the same with Amy, but causing Becky to get all pissed off and then walks away. However, Tom and Huck visit Mutt, who is on death row. However, they try to get him to remember injuring Joe by murdering Bean. But, however, Mutt doesn't remember Joe, while he finds Tom and Huck, but they escape on a raft, and they celebrate their survival and friendship with a musical number, Friends for Life. When Tom and Huck swims back into town, they learn that the townspeople were mourning for their deaths, believing that the boys have drowned and died. However, they disrupt the service by showing up at their own funeral, and they are welcomed back. Amy, wanting to make Becky more upset at Tom, kisses Tom in front of her, making her believe that Tom has chosen Amy over her, and leaves before Tom can get a chance to explain. Leaving him heartbroken, Judge Thatcher sentences Mutt to be hanged, but however, Huck and Tom testify against Joe at the last minute. Joe goes after Tom and Huck, but fails and gets pulled away by the river. So Mutt was finally freed, and his criminal charges were dropped, and the boys were hailed as heroes. So during the celebration, after making up with Tom, Becky talks to Tom about exploring a cave. So Amy follows them, and Tom and Becky go into the cave. And Tom says to Becky that she is the prettiest girl that he has ever seen. That made Amy very sad, and she stopped to follow Tom and Becky. However, they do end up getting lost, and Becky begins to lose hope in finding the exit. However, Tom sings another number called Light the End of the Tunnel to try and reassure her that they'll always find a way out. Instead, however, of finding an exit, they find treasure, and Joe, meanwhile, the townspeople notice Tom and Becky missing, and Amy, who they saw Tom and Becky go in the cave, she reveals where they are. So the townspeople go to look for them in the cave. With Huck's help, Tom and Becky, as well as subdues Joe into causing a rockfall, which kills Joe, and they get reunited with the townspeople and Aunt Polly. However, in the end, Amy becomes Huck's girlfriend after being impressed with how he assists Tom against Joe, and Becky finally becomes Tom's girlfriend, so Amy is no longer jealous of Becky. So the next day, Sid again tries to snitch on Tom, but it backfires as Aunt Polly makes Sid paint the house instead of Tom. So the movie ends with Tom, Becky, Huck, and Amy having a picnic, during which Tom shows the others gold coins and tells them about another treasure hunt, and thus how the movie ends. This was actually a pretty good story, I'm not gonna lie. It was a really good movie for, especially something that came out in the 1980s. Well, not 1980s, but 2000s. So, however, this was honestly a really awesome, well-made movie that MGM was Animation were responsible for producing All Dogs Go to Heaven, Babes in Toyland, and All Dogs Christmas Carol. So while the pre-production of this movie was post-production processes were based in the United States. However, it was animated by Wang Films Productions in Taipei, Taiwan. So the film was not given a theatrical release, but it was released a direct-to-video release when it was actually meant to be released in theaters, which I kind of don't understand why they didn't release this movie in theaters when they could have just done, because it looks like it would have been a really good movie, but at the same time, who's really to say? I mean, I actually watched this movie when I was a kid. It's a good movie from the 2000s. I mean, there's other good ones, but I can definitely say right now that it's a pretty awesome movie. So, however, though, let's get on with more of the bit of the backstory. So, Tom Sawyer was announced to be in development since March of 1998. However, in June of 1998, MGM Animation made a deal with Stone Canyon Investments to fund the free animated films over the course of the next few years, starring with Tom Sawyer. So, Betty White also admitted enjoying playing a character who is both barrel chest and an animal character, explained that, and I quote, "I'm closer to animals when I am to anything else," and also liked being a barrel chest woman. And when they asked how she got to be cast and mostly starring country stars, she answered, and I quote, "I have no idea where I came to the act," which is pretty amazing that Betty White was in this movie. I mean, a lot of these good films are always good with Betty White. So, yeah, any film that I've seen with Betty White are always amazing. So, there's always that. So, Tom Sawyer premiered on the Nashville Network on March 27th, 2000, and repeated the channel on April 1st. TNN had planned to a different program to air the same time and day as Tom Sawyer's repeat airing, but now that being a live presentation of that year's annual NASCAR Albertson's 300 race. However, due to rainy weather causing a delay, the sports division of TNN owner CBS chose not to have their channel air on the event, thus Tom Sawyer was aired instead. So the MGM released Tom Sawyer on DVD and VHS on April 4th, and its soundtrack was issued by MCA Records on the same day. So the DVD comes with a featurette about the production of the film. However, MGM later re-released the DVD in the US on July 30th, 2002. However, in the United Kingdom, as of March 14th, 2005, and issued a free film DVD set on March 5th of this time that announced Tom Sawyer, The Secret of the Minfin sequel. So, however, Tom Sawyer was pretty much praised for its fairly cute animated characters and colorful animations in that, partially from, voice acting, like partially from Don Knotts and the musical numbers. However, he found the portrayals of Tom and Becky a little bland, and the song Friends for Life encourages throughout that have been tacked for their length, so yeah. But despite all that, I honestly really like this movie, especially from the 2000s. I mean, a lot of movies that were animated like this are just good. However, there are some movies that are animated that was supposed to be just as good as others, but they ended up not being really good at the end. I mean, there's some movies that did manage to go downhill. Some of these movies do manage to be pretty decent, and there's some that are good. So, I really gotta say, this one was, honestly, I didn't find this one to be a bad movie at all. I honestly, yeah, there were some flaws, and it was a bit bland here and there, but I didn't think it was a bad movie. I thought it was pretty neat for what it is, especially the villain. I mean, I always thought the villain was pretty neat for, his characteristics, hurting Joe or injuring Joe. Like, he seems to be the grizzly bear, and he seemed pretty cool. However, we also do know for a fact that the characters and even the voice acting did pretty good, especially Betty White for being Aunt Polly, which I honestly really do thought that it was pretty cool. So, I guess with that being said, I mean, I kind of am disappointed a bit that it did not get released in theaters, which it was probably meant to be released in theaters, but it would have been cool. But at the same time, though, can't really have everything our way, can we? So, I guess with that being the case and that being said, I guess what I'm trying to say is yeah, for those who have watched this movie, in the early 2000s on VHS or on TV, I really gotta say, it's a good movie. I recommend it. You can go watch it. I think there is a full movie or at least clips of it you guys can watch on YouTube and etc. if you want to watch this movie. Now, I mean, I recommend watching this movie again as an adult. Maybe if you have kids around, I recommend you showing your kids this movie, as it's a pretty cute movie. Yes, the animation's gorgeous and that. it's pretty much what you expect in a movie from 2000s, which, in this case, I mean, it was bland at parts, and I mean, there were some parts of it that didn't really feel necessary, but despite it all, I honestly still found this movie to be quite awesome. So I guess with that being the case, that being said, this is just my own personal opinion. And if you happen to disagree with me, that is completely fine too, because we're all entitled to our own opinions in regards to these movies. If you don't like this movie, I respect your opinion, and if you don't like it. And if you like this movie, that's fine too, because I respect your opinions as well. Because most of you guys seem to be respectful, so I'm not too concerned about anyone being disrespectful or anything, but you are allowed to state your own opinions on this movie. So as long as you're not going to bash people or whatever, but most of you guys seem to know those rules by now, especially for those who've been on my channel for a long time. So anyways, with that being said, what did you guys think of this movie? Did you enjoy it? Did you not? Did you think it was okay? What are your thoughts on this movie? Feel free to state your own opinions in the comments below. Now, I'm the Lion Queen. Thank you so much for watching today's episode. And if you're new to my channel, feel free to leave this video a like, comment, and subscribe. Ring the bell for notifications to when I upload, so that way you guys will not miss an upload. And as always, I'll be catching you all in the next video. So peace out, and I'll see you all next time.